A team of scientists once handed people $40 and told them to spend it in whatever way would make them happiest. Then they ran the numbers and found the single most effective way to spend it. Here's the part that stuck with me. When they surveyed a separate group of working adults and asked how they'd spend a windfall like that, only 2% picked it. 2%. Which means the other 98 of us, you, me, almost everyone, are upgrading our lives in ways that science says barely move the needle, while skipping the upgrades that actually work. And I found that genuinely annoying, because I've done it too. So I went looking for what the 2% knew. What I found is a short list, a handful of purchases your brain weirdly never gets tired of. But to understand why they work, you have to first meet the reason nothing else does. Let me introduce the villain. Psychologists call it hedonic adaptation. You call it the new thing stopped feeling new. Whatever you buy, the phone, the car, the apartment with the better view, your brain takes about 6 weeks to quietly file it under normal and stop giving you credit for it. The thrill doesn't fade because you're ungrateful. It fades because your brain is doing exactly what it was built to do. And here's where it gets interesting, because this isn't a bug. Picture your ancestor on the savannah a couple 100,000 years ago. Imagine two versions of him. One gets a great hunt, feels satisfied, and decides he's good for a while. The other gets the same hunt, feels the glow fade in a few days, and gets twitchy for the next one. In a world with no fridge and no guarantee of tomorrow's meal, which one's genes are still around? The restless one. Every time. Evolution didn't design you to be happy. It designed you to be a little bit dissatisfied forever, because dissatisfaction kept your ancestors moving. Your caveman brain deletes joy on purpose. It's a feature, and you can't switch it off. So the smart question isn't, how do I stop adapting? You can't. The question is, what can't the brain adapt to? What can you buy that it never gets the chance to file under normal? Turns out there are 4 things. The first one goes back to a study by 2 psychologists, Leif van Boven and Thomas Gilovich, in 2003. They asked a simple question. When people look back on their money, what do they treasure and what do they regret? So they had people compare a recent big material purchase, a gadget, a jacket, a watch, against a recent big experience, a trip, a concert, a night out. Then they measured how much happiness each one was still producing. The experiences won, not by a hair, consistently. And the gap gets bigger over time, which is the strange part. Your possessions and your experiences age in opposite directions. The new car sits in the driveway getting a little less exciting every single morning, until it's just a car. But that disastrous camping trip where it rained for 3 days and the tent collapsed, that's been quietly improving in your memory for a decade. It's a great story now. Possessions depreciate. Memories appreciate. Your ancestors understood this in their bones. Around the fire, the story of the hunt always outlived the meat. The second upgrade is the one only 2% picked, and it's the $40 answer. In 2017, a researcher named Ashley Whillans led a study of over 6,000 people across 4 countries, and the finding was blunt. The people who spend money to buy back their own time report being measurably more satisfied with their lives, paying someone to clean, getting the groceries delivered, taking the shortcut that costs a few dollars, outsourcing the tasks you quietly dread. Then came the experiment. They gave the same people $40 on 2 separate weekends. One weekend, spend it on some material thing. The other, spend it on anything that buys you time. Same people, same $40. The time-buying weekend won. Better moods, less of that low-grade pressure that follows you around. Buying stuff gave them more stuff. Buying time gave them back a piece of their actual life. And your caveman brain never saw this one coming, because time scarcity basically didn't exist on the savannah. This is the part that surprised me most. Anthropologists estimate hunter-gatherers worked something like a few hours a day. The feeling of being perpetually starved for time is a modern invention, which is exactly why buying it back feels like cheating and works like magic. Nobody evolved a defense against it. The third one sounds backwards until you think like a caveman. In 2008, 3 researchers, Elizabeth Dunn, Laura Aknin, and Michael Norton, published a study in the journal Science. They handed people either $5 or $20 with one instruction: spend it by 5 p.m., either on yourself or on somebody else. That evening, the people who spent it on someone else were happier. And here's the kicker: the amount made no difference. $5 on a friend beat 20 on yourself. They ran it again years later with a sample 15 times bigger. Same result. To your modern brain, that's irrational. More money on you should mean more happiness for you. To your caveman brain, it's the most obvious thing in the world. For almost all of human history, there was no bank and no refrigerator. If you came back with more meat than you could eat, the single smartest place to store that wealth was inside other people. You share today, and when your hunt fails next week, the tribe feeds you. Generosity wasn't kindness. It was the original savings account. Your brain still pays out that dividend every time you give. Most of us just stopped making deposits. The fourth one is sneaky because it lets you collect the happiness before you even own the thing. In 2014, a researcher named Amit Kumar studied the waiting period, the gap between buying something and actually getting it. When you're waiting on a material thing, mostly what you feel is impatience. You just want the box to show up. But when you're waiting on an experience, a trip, a show, a reunion, what you feel is anticipation, excitement. People looking forward to experiences were measurably happier during the wait itself, which means a trip you book 3 months out is quietly paying you happiness for 3 months before it even begins. It's the only purchase that comes with an appetizer. Now, step back and look at the 4 of them together, because a pattern jumps out. Everything your brain adapts to is a thing that stands still. The phone, the watch, the couch, they just sit there, unchanging, and your brain files them and stops seeing them. But look at the list. An experience is over before adaptation can get its hands on it. Time dissolves into your life. Generosity lives in other people where your brain can't file it. Anticipation is finished the moment it pays out. The upgrades your brain can't get bored of are the ones it never gets the chance to get bored of. So here's the one question worth asking before any upgrade. A year from now, will my brain still be collecting on this, or will it be furniture? The nicer phone is furniture inside a month. The weekend you spent with your brother, the Saturday you bought back from chores, the dinner you covered for a friend who needed it, some of that is still paying you back decades later. None of this means don't buy nice things. Buy the nice thing. It just means know what you're actually buying. A thing. Gets you a few good weeks before the caveman quietly deletes it. But the short list, experiences, time, other people, anticipation, buys you the stuff he was never able to touch. And knowing what your own brain is up to is the closest thing there is to a cheat code.